Hey guys, what's going on? James here, and in this video today I want to talk about some of the history that was made this season by the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. There was an interesting tweet that was put out by Scott Smith of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers that I want to show you guys real quick. And after going 3 of 3 today, this was posted yesterday against the Carolina Panthers, Chase McLaughlin finished the regular season 29 of 31 on field goals. That's a success rate of 93.5, a new Bucs single season record. Congratulations to Chase McLaughlin. I think that is awesome, and it just goes to show that the Buccaneers really should bring him back, hopefully on a long-term deal, because he's earned it. He has been absolutely fantastic this year. But I also wanted to talk about some other Bucs who did really good this year and have either moved up or have put themselves in the top 10 in terms of Bucs records for a single season. But real quick, I do want to talk about this because it was when I was doing my research, I was noticing this, and it was definitely interesting. It's important to note that the Bucs finished with one more win this year than they did last year. In terms of offensive rank, they finished better in points, worse in yards allowed, or I guess I should say worse in yards in terms of offensive ranking, but on defense, they finished better in terms of points allowed on defense, worse in terms of yards allowed on defense, but in terms of overall points for and points against, it was a pretty decent improvement overall for the Bucs. They finished with 35 more points for. They finished with 33 less points allowed. All in all, I would say that 2023 was an improvement on the year of 2022 for the Bucs. Of course, the Bucs are going back to the playoffs. They won the NFC South for another year in a row. We have a great article here by my colleague and friend, Mr. Gil Arcia of BucsNation.com, and I want to go over some of the stats that he has noted in his article here. Todd Bowles is the first coach in team history to lead the Buccaneers to 2 consecutive playoff appearances and consecutive division titles in his first 2 seasons as head coach. Bruce Arians didn't do it. John Gruden didn't do it. Tony Dungy did not do it, but Todd Bowles did. What a wild stat that I think is just absolutely crazy. Tampa Bay has won now 6 NFC South Division titles since it was created in 2002. That's the second most. This one is great. Antoine Winfield Jr. forced his 6th fumble on the season, knocking it out of the hands of Mr. DJ Shark. And you take a look here, he is the first defensive back since 2000 to finish with 6+ sacks, 6 or more forced fumbles on the season. He is also the 4th defensive back since 1982 with 6 or more games with a sack, joining Jamal Adams, Dave Durison, and Roman Harper. That's awesome. You love to see that. I think that Antoine Winfield Jr. is a guy who obviously he has had a fantastic year for the Bucs. I don't have to tell you guys that. He has at least a share of the league in both forced fumbles and opponent fumbles recovered in the same season, right up there with Hassan Reddick. It's awesome. It's a great thing to see. Antoine Winfield Jr. has had a historical season this year. His best season as a Buc, in my opinion, and he just week in and week out continue to showcase it. I'm going to go ahead and say that he's the best player on the Buccaneers defense now. I think he has surpassed Levante David. I think he has surpassed Vita Vea for that number, and I think that he's earned it. He's going to get a bag this offseason, and he has done fantastic. Yaya Diaby added to his Defense Rookie of the Year resume, 7.5 sacks on the year, second most sacks by a rookie in the NFL season. He is tied for second most sacks by a rookie in franchise history with Adrian Claiborne. Remember Adrian Claiborne? That's a blast from the past with 7.5. Yaya, I think, shattered expectations this year. He has been absolutely fantastic, and he also is number 1 among all rookies in tackles for loss on the season. Kalijah Kancey is tied for 2. Just goes to showcase the absolute crazy year that the Bucs had in terms of production from Yaya Diaby and Kalijah Kancey. By the way, Kalijah Kancey did not play the entire year. He was hurt for the first few games to start the year. Yaya Diaby did not start the entire year. He was getting rotational work with guys like Joe Tryon-Shoyinka and Anthony Nelson. So shout out to both these two guys. Let's hope that they can improve on their crazy rookie seasons, because I think the future is bright with those two in the Buccaneers front 7. You take a look at the most sacks. The Buccaneers tied, actually, tied for second, I guess I should say, for most single season team sacks with 48. The tied with their Super Bowl run in 2020, which is actually really notable and crazy to think about. Goes to show the kind of low-key ability for the Bucs this year, and their ability to get after the quarterback, their ability to still have a great impact on defense. And I'm going to give Todd Bowles credit for that. Again, you're tied with what your Super Bowl defense did in 2020. The only, short of is 2000 when you had 55. That's a good year for the Bucs pass rush. I know it doesn't seem like it. It certainly didn't seem like it just from watching all the games this year, but hey, they got after the quarterback this year, and it was different players, right? It might not have been the traditional, but Yaya Diaby contributed, Kalijah Kancey contributed, Vita Vea contributed, Antoine Winfield Jr. obviously contributed to that 48 number that is now tied for second most in franchise history. This one I'd already been aware of. Baker Mayfield is now tied for fourth in the most passing touchdowns in a single season for a quarterback. Jameis Winston from 2019 and 2 Tom Brady years in 2020 and 2021 are the only ones above him. I've talked about Baker having such a great year this year. He has the 7th most passing yards for a quarterback in franchise history as well. Above him, you have got 3 Tom Brady years, 2 Jameis Winston years, and a Josh Freeman year also. Still showcases a pretty good year from Josh Freeman, in my opinion. I think that he has done an excellent job. You take a look now at the most 1,000-yard seasons in franchise history. It bumps Chris Godwin up to number 2. Mike Evans is number 1. It's a big reason for Baker Mayfield had his success. He's got probably 2 of the best. Obviously, Mike Evans is the best wide receiver in Buccaneers franchise history. You can genuinely make an argument that Chris Godwin is number 2 there. He has the most 80-yard receptions in franchise history. Most 80-yard reception seasons in franchise history with 4. Mike Evans has 2. Many players tied for 1. Also, Mike Evans led the league in receiving touchdowns this year with 13. He almost tied his record for most single-season touchdown receptions in Buccaneers franchise history with 14, but he only finished with 13. Also, again, same record goes into that with scrimmage yard touchdowns. Let's take a look at Rachaad White, because this was the one I wanted to really highlight in this video today. Rachaad White is now 6th. He has the 6th most scrimmage yards in franchise history for a Tampa Bay Buccaneers player with 1,539. The only players above him are 2 years from James Wilder, 2 years from Doug Martin, and a year of Warrick Dunn. Great year. Great year for Rachaad White, in my opinion. And an absolutely great year, all things considered. And White ranks 3rd among running backs and tied for 6th among all players in yards from scrimmage. That was after the 1 p.m. game. So I don't know if that is the same, but it goes to show the usage rate of Rachaad White. It goes to show the overall ability of Rachaad White. The versatility is fantastic, is absolutely fantastic. So congratulations to Rachaad White for getting his spot in history a little bit here and just having a great year overall. Let's hope that he can continue to grow and improve on that. We talked about the Chase McLaughlin field goal percentage, but one thing that is just awesome is the most 50-plus yard field goals made in a single season in franchise history. Chase McLaughlin holds that record with 7, eclipsing Connor Barth's 6 all the way back in 2012. A great year from Chase McLaughlin. This was also one of the reasons I wanted to make this video initially, was to highlight Chase McLaughlin, but there's a lot of history here, folks. There's a lot of good from this year. Rachaad White had a fantastic year. Mike Evans had a fantastic year. Chris Godwin continued to put his place in Buccaneers history and do some things. Baker Mayfield, I think, had a good year overall and was able to go out there and do some great things. The Buccaneers pass rush had a really good year. Yaya Diaby, Kalijah Kancey made some noise this year. Antoine Winfield Jr. was phenomenal this year. And then even as a whole, you saw improvement from 2022 to 2023 with the Bucs in terms of points for, in terms of points allowed, in terms of some of the offensive metrics, in terms of some of the defensive metrics. The Buccaneers allowed less points. They scored more points in 2023 than they did in 2022. Todd Bowles made a mark in history by being the first coach in Bucs team history to get back-to-back consecutive playoff appearances and division titles in his first 2 years as head coach. I know a lot of people were down and kind of out after the Bucs, let's say not impressive win, 9-0 win against the Carolina Panthers, but I think it's also important to focus on the positives. The Bucs are making the playoffs for a second year in a row. The Bucs have won the division for a second year in a row under Todd Bowles, and there were good stats. There were good players on this team that I wanted to highlight today. And there was good just team stats overall that are absolutely worth highlighting. So hopefully you guys appreciate some of these stats. I certainly appreciate some of these, basically a lot of these stats, reading them and going over them. Congratulations to all the guys who had a great regular season for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Let's see if they can continue that momentum going into the playoffs. But what do you guys think about all these stats and all the history that was made this year for the Bucs? Let me know your thoughts and opinions. I would love to hear it. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. Hope you all enjoyed. And as always, guys, I will see you all in the next video or the next live stream. But until then, and as always, guys, goodbye for now, and go Bucs.